Okay, so we have to start the parsha with last week. Last week's parsha it ends off that you know Rivka comes and she sees, the pasuk says, "Vatisa Rivka esina vatera esitzvok vatipa malagomol," and she says, so she raises her eyes and she realizes that there's somebody walking there, and she's totally in shock and fear. And vatipa malagomol, she fell off the camel. Who is this person that's going, towards us in the field? Who Adoni? This is my boss. Well, how's he his boss? So just a matter of fact, because it says in the Pasha, Avram gave everything to his son Yitzchak. And if he gave everything to his son Yitzchak, now Yitzchak has the star of the Eved that Eliezer became from Avram's Eved, it became Yitzchak's servant. So he's your new boss. So he says, "It's my boss." Vatika Hatzov Vatiskos. She took the handkerchief, whatever it was, that clothing, and she covered herself. What's the story over there? It plays a very strong, very powerful, and I don't know, mistake, not a mistake, not who am I to judge? She was totally chesed. She was amuda chesed. Now let's chop what's going on here. Avram Avinu's chesed Sorah is din. Gvura. It's Sorah. It's overpowerful. She's the boss. Avram Avinu sees Yitzchak is din, so Avram Avinu says he needs Rivka. He needs a balas chesed. Get me chesed. Get me good midas. Together they'll have a trial Yaakov. So from chesed, Gvura to Teferes, Yaakov. So you take Yitzchak, which is din, you take Rivka, which is chesed, to combine together, you get you to Ferris. A combination, but a well balanced combination. And that's the golden middle. Now, what happens? She is chesed, and she comes and sees such din gvura. She goes, "What? That's not pasuk for me. That's not my shidduch. I'm looking for the nicest guy." Well, Yitzchak is very principled. Now, he's not koyach, he's gvura. Gvura means it's a fire within. He's not judgmental, and he doesn't judge you and doesn't talk to you in a derogatory way because you're not all that he is. No, Gvura means I'm strict on myself, not on Yenim, but it's strict nevertheless. Like let it go, ease off a drop, a little. No, no. So she came to a wedding thinking she has to have her partner exactly suitable for her. And it turns out that the shidduch that she said yes to, it's not Avram Avinu. No, it's not. It's more like the Shviga Sarah, which she never saw it. So she has to vatika chatzor vatiskos. She covered and new scenery, a new approach. Do away with the old, a new approach, a second luchas, a different approach. I thought of marrying this person. It turns out I just realized that there's a Achad Noid over there, Achad Yitzchak, very fearful, and people feel it, the energy around him, not that approachable. And she said, I have to, improvise, I have to make amends over here, I have to be adaptable. And she vatiskas, she covered, and with a new scenery. With that, we can start this week's parsha. Next week's parsha, we start. Eila told us, Eila told us Avram hoyle dis Yitzchak. I'm sorry. Ve'ela told us Yitzchak ben Avram hoyle dis Yitzchak. This is the descendants of Yitzchak, son of Avram. And Rashi said Sor Klastapanov, that's why the word Avram is over here. And then it says Avram hoyle dis Yitzchak. In the parshas before, it doesn't say, it says Yolad. Yolda. Why Hoylid? So let's answer that in a second. We know that Avram Hoylid is Yitzchak. We know it from the last parsha. He even went to Akeda. We know that. I mean, there was a whole conversation between father and son. Besides that, the Torah says that he gave birth to Yitzchak, and he Vayomel Avram is Yitzchak Benoi, right? Ben Shmoydes Yom. He gave him a bris. The thing over here is Hoylid. He made him Hoylid. In other words, Avram made Yitzchak Hoylid that Yitzchak can have children. He sort of empowered Yitzchak with the mechanism, the spiritual mechanism that Yitzchak can have children. So it's not so much. So let me explain. Avram Avinu, people suffer, and you say a tzaddik should suffer. Why should he suffer? So you have over here. Um, let's go a little deeper. The Gemara, Rashi quotes the Gemara. Why did Hakadosh Baruch Hu misavel l'tfilin shel tzaddikim? Why did he make the obviously Mois Akores? It says about the Mois mainly because Hakadosh Baruch Hu, he desires the tefillah of tzaddikim. Question: because you enjoy their tefillah, you have to make them suffer. Where's the justice? Where's the chesed? Where's the kindness over here? And the teretz is Avram Avinu suffers not for himself. He shouldn't suffer. The problem is if you have thousands of people with problems, if thousands of people with problems, so what do you do? How do you save the day? You need a bulldozer to open up the gates and to flow shefa with brochas and atzlochas and everything. How are you going to get that? So you need somebody to break through. You need some powerful element that's going to break through and give everybody this what everybody's seeking. So what you do is Hashem says, you know what? I have to give the tzaddik the problem. You see, over here we have blackouts. We did a share earlier today because the usual time that there's supposed to be a blackout, we have for many hours today, for I don't know, 11 something to almost 6 o'clock, no light, no electric. They give now 2 hours, and then you have to, then they start again. So I need the lighting, and therefore we did it early. What do you do if like technically speaking, which block has lighting all time? If there's a big boss in the city and he lives in that block, Ochenbeit to close his light. So that block is going to have lighting all around all time. So if Hashem sees there's a problem, he takes Avram Avinu, he takes Sori Menu, and he doesn't give him children. He says, "Daven your heart out." That's misavet tfilos and shel tzaddikim, not to torture them, but to break through for everybody else. And once he opens up and he gives them, like the Chazal teach, Hashem pocket the Sarah. When Sarah had a child, everybody, all the Koras had children. Everybody, all in their surroundings, whoever came to them, they davened for everybody because they broke through for everybody else. That's called Nisavul Tfilis Tzadikim. He wants these Tzadikim to do it for the future generations also. And where did we see that? Avram waited how many years to have a child? 100. Sarah waited 90. 190 is 400 minus 190. You have 210 years in Mitzrayim. Otherwise, would have to. Who knows how long that would have to sit there? So Avram, you daven the soil. You set up a system, a mechanism, a spiritual mechanism that, in that sense, Hoyle des Yitzchak. Now Yitzchak can have children. It's Avram suffering that Yitzchak can have children. And everybody, when you go through life with a lot of issues that you shouldn't, I mean, it's uncalled for. I wasn't mechutzah when I was a kid. Why do I have to deserve mechutzah? And the teretz is you're suffering, so your kids and everybody around you shouldn't suffer. So if a person would be cognizant of that, he would stop that. He wouldn't be so bitter. He would say, "Oh, bring it on." I mean, you're not allowed to ask for this, you're not allowed to go there. But if I can make it easy for my kid, what wouldn't a person do to make to a little take away a little pain from somebody else, to avoid agmas nefesh and agony from his surroundings and his children and descendants. Okay, so that's Avram Hoyle des Yitzchak. Now, I just want to go in general about the parsha. It says, "Ve'ele Toldos Yitzchak ben Avram, Avram Yitzchak." What's the name of the parsha? Toldos. You have by Noach. Eli told us Noach. What's the name of Pasha Noach? How can you? Why don't you call this Pasha Yitzchak? And Rashi Bavolins is Kasha, the first Rashi. Rashi says, yeah, Toldos. Rashi says, Vele told us Yitzchak, Yaakov Esav Hamurim Baparsha. What is Rashi saying? We don't know. Go to the Parsha. You'll see that's Yaakov Esav Hamurim Baparsha. Rashi's Bavornik, how come you don't call it Parshas Yitzchak? You called it Toldos because it's about the Toldos. For a few seconds it talks about Yitzchak, but most of the Parsha, the vast majority, talks about Yaakov and Esav. Amurim Parsha. It talks about Yaakov and Esav, and the quarrel between Yaakov and Esav, and the brachos and everything else, and how Yaakov has to run away, Lamaisa. That's all because that's Yaakov and Esav. So it's the Torah. Yitzchak lived longer than everybody else, but he's spoken about the least. There's almost nothing about Yitzchak, very little about Yitzchak. So let's go back. Yitzchak was 40 years when he took Rivka. Okay. So it said, he took, and Rashi says, because to show, she didn't learn from the dishes of her house. So it's a big, now, that's very important to the next one. Now, Vayeta Yitzchak Allah Hashem Anoichach Yishteka Akara Hi. So the cute thing of it says Akara Hi. We see this Kriyan Ksiv. The Ksiv writes Hey Vov Aleph. That's who. The Kri, the way we read it, is he, she, but it says who. If you don't put the chirik on it's who. You see Hey Vov Aleph is who. So what's the difference between the Kri and Ksiv? Why is it different? And so she didn't have children. How old was she? Pashup Pshat, she was 3 years old. There's other midrashim, but Pashup Pshat, she was 3 years old, right? It says Yitzchak was 40. How does it? Rashi says, how do you know it's 40? Because his mother was Sarah was 90 when she had a kid. She passed away at 127. So that means it means he was 37 years old. And now he's 40. So she was born right after the Kate, it says in the Torah. So now she's 3. Now, again, there's other pshatim, but let's say it's 3 years old. He's 3 years old, and then Yitzchak when Shishim Shana Beled say something, he was 60. That means they had 20 years they were married without children. What's the minimum age of a girl having a baby? A Molby, 100 years ago in the villages, there was no institute, there was no learning anyway. So what to run after the chickens and pick up the eggs and a little the milk for the cow? There's not much intelligence, advanced intelligence there. You're not studying for some whatever. So in the village, they got married as soon as possible because they might catch a cold and pneumonia and they're dead. There's no medicine. So try to as fast as possible. You might chas for shalom, so they couldn't wait around for anything, and there was no. So they got married by a girl 12 and a boy by 13. What's the minimum age to have a child? The Gemara says 11 years old. 11 years old. So she was 3. 20 years later, she's 23 when she has twins, right? 23. And they davened and they had twins. Now, what's 23 minus 11? That's 12. If it would say he, hey Yud Aleph is 16. That's not the right thing. It says Kri Hu, that's hey Vav is 11 with Aleph is 12. There was 12. Now she could have had a baby by 11, but she waited 12 years to 23. That's why Kiakora, she was Akora for 12 years. So it says Vayeta Yitzchak Lashem Lenoichach Ishtoi. What does that mean? So Rashi says she stands in a corner, he stands in a corner. But in Noisach means not back to back, it means face to face. And that's very telling over here. So he did, what's Pshat? Vayeta is exceedingly davening, right? A lot. Right? It's a very strong, it's consistent again and again and again. And the Gemara says, Kavil Hashem. In other words, if you're not nana, try again and again. Don't give up. Storm the heavens until it happens. And if it doesn't happen, make it happen with chusim and humility and matnas chinim and all that. But the point is, Vayeta Yitzchak Lashem, he davened to Hashem lenoichach ishtoi. In other words, not that each one in a separate corner facing opposite sides. Lenoichach means right against each other, means It's he davens for her and she davens for him. And somebody that davens if you daven for your friend, you need the same thing. You're answered first. I said it many times already, probably in the share also. If you have cream on your hand, you take cream, antibiotic cream, to smear some wound of somebody else, and you had a cut in the same hand on the hand that you put the cream on. The cream went on your hand first. He also needs cream. Who nenet chila? He gets answered. The process of healing starts on his hand before it started on his friend. So Yitzchak davens for Rivka, but Rivka also davens for Yitzchak. Poshpshat, she davened for herself, and he davened for her. So, but L'noisach Ishtoi means he davened for her. What did he have in mind? So there's a few pshatim over here. One pshat is that he knew Kibi Yitzchak Yikorah L'chol Zora, and I'm going to make you into a great nation. And he knew Hashem promised him that for forever this is a everlasting nation for all time. And after Hashem promised Avram Avinu, there's no other way. Yitzchak is going to have kids, and he knew that. He wasn't worried about himself. What he was worried about is about his wife. He wanted to have kids with her dafka, not with somebody else. Now he can't marry a shivcha anyway because he's a korban. He had Chiyas. He died by the Akedah. The Shaila about what? From the knife he died, or he died from the shock, whatever, the different midrashim. But the point is that he died and he came back. How long did it take? It took him 1 year, 2 years, a minute, a year, 2 years, 3 years, different pshatim. But the point is that Yitzchak Avinu is already after Tchias Mason, sort of. He's a holy korban. He can't marry a shifcha. He can't, even if he frees it. There's got to be a special neshama for that. So he's in a much higher level. So Yitzchak is davening. I want to not from a different shifcha. He can't, but a different wife. No, I want from this wife Dafka Rivka, my second half. It's the male, the feminine, the she had his neshama until he died for a second, and then she got his neshama. Now he got the masculine half of the neshama. Now he can have kids, and he wants dafka from her. So the Bamarova, in Eretz Yisrael, it's the first shidduch is Lafi's Bashert. They announce it 40 days before the formation of the child, but in Chutz La'aretz it's only Lafi Masav. So in Eretz Yisrael, the first shidduch is Bashert one, second one is Lafi Masav according to who he is. But the Arizal says that everybody's already Gilgul today, so everybody's okay. So everybody's sort of Zivik Sheni already. Okay, I'm not going into that right now. But the point is that Yitzchak Vinu wanted Dafka through her. Now, another pshat over here is, what's Yitzchak thinking? He's saying, poor little girl. He's saying he's the 6-year-old, she's 23. He says, he can be her grandfather. I mean, in the difference of age. And Yitzchak says, I feel so bad for this girl. What is it? See, I grew up. Rashi says, "Ein doimet tefillah tzaddik ben tzaddik le tefillah tzaddik ben rasha," and that's why Hashem answered him. But let's go drop deeper. He's saying he grew up by entitled people. Her family felt entitled. So alles, everybody's bad to us. Total chazdeu, and Yitzchak is total kabdeu, and therefore, sie weiß nicht besser. She comes from a family that, and I'm sure she's broken, she's distraught that she couldn't bring me children. I feel bad for that soul. Please, Hashem, please give her a child. I don't want her to suffer like that. I'm tzaddik ben tzaddik. I grew up in a house of emunah b'tochen. He grew up with a father that had a baby by 100, his mother by 90. She's only 23, for heaven's sake. For him, it's not ekvelt. He believes Hashem promised. He keeps his promise. He has no questions. But she comes from a terrible background. She wouldn't. I don't want her to suffer like that. I don't know. She's bitochen emunah. I mean, I see. I'm living with her 20 years of it. Please have rachmanis on that soul, that precious soul, his wife. What is she thinking? She says, me, I come from a house of Balavedinikis, idol worship is terrible characters. You know what I mean? Just egoistic, egocentric, but they got the narcissism, they got the whole 9 yards. But him, he comes from a tzaddik and tzaddikus. Why does he have to suffer? She understands the background. What can I do? But him, So Nebuch, he's a pure neshama. So they're davening. So what does Hashem say? Vayiyosef lo Hashem. Hashem listened to him. But what? Rachmanis on her rather than Rachmanis. Why? She'ein doing with Tzaddik ben Tzaddik. So what's Tzaddik ben Tzaddik? Tzaddik ben Rosh? Osher Pshat is a machloikus over here, and Rashi says that Tfilas Tzaddik ben Tzaddik is better than Tfilas Rosh. What's the machloikus? What's yichus atzmi or yichus of parents? So Rashi says if yichus atzmi plus yichus of parents, yichus of atzmi plus parents, that prevails. And Rivka only had yichus of atzmi, which amounts to everything. But for it, she's missing schusavis. Okay, I want to go a little bit. It says lenoichach ishtoi. What means lenoichach ishtoi? We're going to go a little Hasidish over here. The Rizhon Tzaddik that my father told me, as far as I remember, my father told me. The Rizhon Tzaddik, maybe, I don't know. That's what I remember. The Rizhon Tzaddik, it says, Kapitel Chav Gimel, Psalms 23. Loi irrokiati modi. I won't fear any evil because you're with me. So when they came to visit the original was by the Russians, he was thrown into jail, and because they rescued him out and they took him over the frozen river to under the Austrian-Hungarian Empire area, which is under Austria then, and to that part. Today it's south of Ukraine, southwest Ukraine, which then was, and the Russians demanded give us back. They didn't, Baruch Hashem, but somebody saved him. Somebody schlepped him. He's so schwach, he schlepped him on his back over the frozen river, a lake or whatever, and to freedom. They bribed. But the point is that when they came to visit him, and he was crying. They thought, wow, such a tzaddik, such a balamuna. Even he's crying, he's breaking down. Even he's becoming ba'atzvus, he's becoming depressed because he's sitting in jail. So they couldn't believe it. So there was enough light coming in from the window to stop to see the eyes, and he saw in the eyes what they're thinking, and he says, no, you don't get me. I'm not crying for myself, I'm crying because the sinner is imodi, ki'ati imodi. The same loyirok. I have no fear because you're with me, Hashem. But it hurts me, it bothers me that Hashem has to sit in a lowly jail with the stench of tzoy and everything else, that whatever. It's so unbecoming that the Shekhinah should rest over here. I'm crying for Hashem's sake. Hashem, me, I love it. Whatever's Basher. You know better. The Bahava 100%. But you, what do you have to be here in this lowliness with these Rishoim and evil people and cruel people? When Yitzchak is davening l'noichach ishtoi, what's the noichach? He sees noichach pnei Hashem. He sees Hashem sitting with Rivka and crying with her. Nebuch, she doesn't have kids for 12 years. The first 11 years she couldn't have kids, but now it's 12 years she doesn't have kids. And the Shekhinah is crying, Kalani Miroish, Kalani Mizroy. The Shekhinah is crying in terrible pain. Now the Shekhinah can't give it to her because she has to daven not only for herself, for her kids. But the Shekhinah nevertheless is sitting and crying, and he says, Yitzchak says, Oy vele noichach ishtoi, noichach pnei Hashem, shivchi kamayim libech, noichach pnei Hashem. Like Yirmiyahu says, Neicha. Crying, he started to cry his heart out because the Shekhinah is crying and he couldn't take it. He said, for your sake, please. I can't see how you're in such pain. And then Hashem vayiyosef lo Hashem, because he was crying for the Shekhinah. That's a whole different ballgame. And the Meir Mishlana says, I want to dedicate this share to our daughters, Akala, Dave Shelf, and everybody, Simcha V'Nachas, Bonus Chaim Mezoinet for everybody, Shaduchim for everybody, Gesund and Panos and Nachas for everybody. Our daughter, Sanala, Mitzvah. So I want to dedicate this share. So Hashem, when you daven to Hashem, you say Lemancha, for your sake, Hashem. The Tudvei, There are people that don't have shidduchim. There are people that don't have kids. There are people that don't have gesund. They don't have nachas. They don't have panosa. People are struggling. I mean, ask everybody who's not struggling. Somebody, somebody asked my wife today. I think, how come, you know, the Freie people also struggle, but everybody has their own struggles. But how come there's such people that have much more? I mean, I'm talking about people that work. So my wife told me today that on such meager salaries, how could you survive? And people somehow benes, it's all benes. The Jewish nation lives benes. But the point is that you know people are struggling. So we're asking for bracha, or shleimus dike bracha, that everybody should have simchas and everybody should enjoy it. That so they should all. So Rivka is davening for that. And Yitzchak can't take it. And he says, Lemancha, for your sake, it's a bush and a charpa, how such fruma people have such hard time. So Hashem knows better. Chas v'shalom, the Melech from Lezhensk, I think the story was with him. They told me when I was a bachi, this is a few years ago, if you know what I mean. And they said he went. So the saying goes that before he passed away, they said no, no, before the Mizichu Maggid, I'm not sure. I forgot the details, but I'm giving you the gist of the story. And he told him that before you pass away, please go up to Shemaim. You have it with the Ramban also. He told his Talmud, if you die, please let me know what's going on about this and this. He gave him a few lists of questions, and he said, the questions faded away. There was no questions. The clarity is unbelievable up there. So he said, "Please come to me with in a you should be mevatel the tzara when you go up to Shemaim." And he said he came back and he said, "There's no tzara in Shemaim. Where I see it over there is like it's unbelievable." Ask Akasha, how's Yitzchak blind? And Yitzchak was blind for there's two pshatim. I mean, famous pshatim, more pshatim, but the Gemara says about the smoke of the avodah zarah of the wives that Esav brought in, that you know it blinded Yitzchak Avinu. That's one pshat. That either the pain that he had or something in the eyes, but whatever the pshat is, how he got blind from the avodah zarah, from the smoke of the avodah zarah that they brought into his house. Just as the pain, he couldn't take it. He just he closed his eyes so tight. He cried some. He cried himself to I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the physiognomy. I don't know how he got blind. But the point is, he got another pshat is the malachim cried. How did malachim cry? So it says the Shemaim opened up. What's pshat the Shemaim opened up? Pshat the Shemaim opened up that they always see the shleimus of the bria. They don't see any bad from Hashem. But when you open up Shemaim and you look and you can see this world over here, you see people in pain. Everybody's crying. Everybody's crying. They want nachas. They want gesund. They want shidduchim. They want kids. They want parnasa. It's so difficult that if you can't pay the tuition to the yeshiva to school and whatever it is, everybody looks at you. You're the biggest nebuch case. You can't open your mouth. You can't complain. You can't say anything. You have no. You can say thank you. I didn't throw them out. They opened it and they saw a lot of pain, so they cried. It went into Yitzchak's eyes. Their tears went into the physical tears sort of went into his eyes and blinded him. If it's lemancha, then it's a whole different ball game. Then Hashem listened to his tefillah. Okay, so weiter. Let's go weiter. Now they fought around. Mamish was a ganze bickering between Yaakov and Esav, and she says Lama Zanoichi. So she went to now. Why'd she go to Shem? Why doesn't she go to husband, much greater holy rabbi than Shem? Why did she go to the Shvei Avram, to the father-in-law Avram? And the Tenet says, well, she was a balas chesed, but she wasn't dumb at all. She wasn't stupid. Never, ever degrade yourself in front of your spouse, your in-laws. Never, never, under no circumstances. She's going to tell Yitzchak, I've got Mefarkes v'yoytze, Lot says, Rashi says when she comes to some shul, right? Obviously there were shuls around, like Avraham Avinu's Talmud or something, but there were shuls, maybe Shem Ve'eva shuls, maybe holy sites, maybe, right? So she goes and something kedusha, and you can feel it, and then something gashmias, or in this case avodah zarah, and she can feel now. What's this hypocrite over here? He's dancing at Tzvei Chasanis. What's going on? A minute he's holy, like mamish holy, and a minute later he's avodah zarah. I mean, hypocrisy on the highest level. And she goes crazy. They're fighting around with physical pain, emotional pain. So, what do you do? So she's going to go tell Yitzchak, and what's Yitzchak going to say? Yeah, Rivka, I thought I took you. I thought you disconnected. Obviously, still something. You inherited a bisschen schlechte Middes and schlechte Avodah. That's what's going on over there. I mean, I don't. It doesn't come from me. I mean, my father, Avraham Avinu and Sodom, the first Jews in the world. Monotheism. You got to be kidding me. It's coming for sure. The bad genes from Rivka. So she's not going to go and blow it all to tell Yitzchak, and she won't tell it to Avraham. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Why can't Rivka tell Yitzchak, your son is a troublemaker? Esav is a no goodnik. Even when he's young and later, much worse. She feared him. He wasn't approachable. He didn't say a thing. He wasn't Mr. Tough Guy. But in her perspective, in her provision, she thought her prism, her glasses, he looked at him as unapproachable. It's a highly holy, Corbin. And there was no conversation over there. There was no she didn't feel freedom, telling him something. She didn't feel he didn't give this I don't know. Looks like something was missing. Again, I'm not judging anyone. Chas v'shalom for me to judge. Whatever it is. So she goes to shame. Why shame? He's a spiritual leader. Now she's not going to go and tell, my genes are bad, and you can see it in the kids going to Avodah Zarah. He doesn't want to ruin it, to blow it. So she goes to a friend. A friend, he doesn't know me. I know. It's family. Somehow he's my great, but it's family. But yeah, what's our shaykhs? So she goes to him and he tells her what, and she says, so she comes for two reasons. First of all, emotional pain and spiritual pain. Avodah Zarah, what's going on? There's hypocrisy over here. I can't handle a hypocrite. He comes to shul, plays biggest tzaddik, then he goes to Avodah Zarah. I can't handle that. I need loyalty. This the key word in any, especially in Judaism, loyalty. So, here, where is this? Vayomer Hashem lo. Rashi says with a shliach. That's shame. Shnei, because if Hashem says it, that one kid will be a Russia, that's it. He's doomed forever. Hashem doesn't want to say it. So Hashem says, let somebody tell it to you. If I say it, it's Lenetzach. He has no chance. So let a shliach say it. So same tells it. Vayim asher lo, it's through a shliach. Shnei goyim bevitnech. You have two nations in your womb. Uknei leumim ma'ich yiparedu. And the two nations are going to separate. In other words, already now their character came out. Already now you know who you're dealing with, and it's and not the same. Sorry. Yeah, let me. Wait. From one nation to another nation, yemot, one will be stronger than the other. In other words, they come when one goes up, they can't be together. Either one is governed, one is stronger than the other one. So either it's us or them. It's a melting pot. Let's take it out. There's us. This melting pot culture is one of the worst things. I'll give it. It's not for now. So it's either or they're up and we're down, or we're up and they're down. One is gonna get stronger than from the other. Then the other one will be stronger than the other. V'rav yavoid the tzoyer. V'rav, the older one, the greater one, the older one, yavoid, he will serve the tzoyer, the younger one. What does that help? And here's the thing. First of all, there's no hypocrisy. There's that calms you down emotionally and spiritually. Yes, Nebuch Asa, it comes with the family. That's where the family comes from. You have kindness. Hashem knew. Now, what's the Vrav Yavet Sor? Why they're fighting? They're fighting because both of them want to be the Bukhar. Yaakov says, my embryo is older than you. In other words, I'm older than you. If he became pregnant with Yaakov before Esav. So V'rav Yavad Tzoyer says that if you go out, the Shofreres Rashi says, but the point is that if you go out first, you're going to be serving me. So all of a sudden it calmed down. The whole rivalry, the whole machloek the quarrel between each other, kicking and stumping and hurling. Why? Because you want to go out first. No problem. Go out first. See, Esav was closer to the opening. He could have gone out first. So go out. Who's stopping you? Later, Yaakov Oichezes Bakev Esav. But first, he's not holding on. Well, he doesn't want it because if Asa goes out, then Yaakov. So he's willing to not get his way to run to Avodah Zarah. Abi Yaakov should be stuck in there. So why does Yaakov want to leave? Yaakov wants to leave, doesn't want to be with Esav. He's learning with the Malach Torah. Well, the I forgot what the Shiva said. He wanted a harva. If you harva, it becomes yours. You invest in it. So the point over here is that they were quarreling. Who should go out first? And when Shem tells it from Hashem, prophecy that whoever goes out first is going to end up serving the younger one. So Asa was not rushing to go out late. He couldn't hold himself back, so he went out first, Lamaisa. But for a while, it was quiet there. Why was there quiet? Because Asa says, no, you go out first. You go. No, no, no. Nobody's fighting to go out first because Varab Yavitzor. Okay. Vayimalu Yomer Ledvin is some witness. She has by the way, it's the only pasuk in the Torah that every word, one, two, three, four, five, six words over here, every word has a double. When it comes the first Toimim in the Torah, the first time it talks about uh, uh, um, twins, it has two letters of the two same letters in every word. Vayimalu has two vavs. Yomer has two yuds. Loledes has two lamets. Vihine has two hays, and Soimim has two mems. Vivitna has two bays, and bays, the same thing. So when it talks about Toimim, it's got two. So she has twins over there. They called him Esav. He went out Admoini. What's Admoini? Red one. Why is he called red one? He's fully developed, hair like a grown-up, mamish like with a beard, the ganze Geschäft. He was physically much bigger than Yaakov. Physically, he was broad and big. And there was an ace when Yaakov put on his coat that he took away from Nimrod. It fit him. It was clearly associated to Shmai there, an ace. But Asa was big and broad and everything else. After that, went out his brother. In his hand, his brother holds in the heel of his older brother Asa. So it's not Vayikra'u. They called him. It's Vayikra, Yaakov. And who's Vayikra? It's Hashem. Hashem called him Yaakov. Yitzchak is 6 years old. Now what's going on over there? What's going on there? What means Admoini? Later, give me this red stuff. He's all carried away by this red stuff. And so he's forever called Edoi, right? And the Torah, sometimes called Asa, but for most throughout Torah Tanakh, it's all Edom. The nation Edom, it's all Edom. So what is it about the red color? So again, I'm not a big expert in colors, but let's go to basics. The way I understand it, if I would do more research in general, maybe I would know I'll have a different opinion, but my basic, knowledge, like everybody else, I, it's mine gefallen today. You have chesed, you have 10 spheres, 10 numbers, but three, intellectual, seven emotional. And the seventh one is not, it's two segels, right? It's Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Netzach, Hoid, Yisoid, and then goes Malchus. Malchus, it's like a plate that Malchus doesn't have sort of its own thing. Malchus is everything together. It's like a kli kibble for the two segels, like two plates going into each other, and Malchus is the bottom tatzela that holds it all together. It absorbs everything, and everything goes into that Malchus, and that is called Malchus, which is like an overall the picture of everything together. Getting the whole act together. It results in Malchus. You have these six sides, then it results into the Malchus. The seventh one is like the whole entity in all. So let's think about the three ovis, right? Is Chesed, is Gevura, and Tiferes, which is the right hand, left hand, and the center, the middle, the torso, let's say. So you have the head is the intellectual part, but then you have the body, the bodily organs, sort of the right, the left, and the center. Avram is Chesed. Yitzchak is Gvura. Avram is yeah, no problem. Yeah, broad. Yitzchak is narrow. It's thin. It's mostly no, 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 no. Yaakov is sometimes yes, sometimes no, and it's peaceful, Tiferes, and so on. Let's go to the essence of Avram. Avram is loyalty. More than anything else, he was umatsasa slavovoi. I found his heart neman lefanecha, loyal, dedicated to Hashem. Right? And how do you see his loyal? Through his dedication. You see how dedicated he is. And Yitzchak is H. Tomatu Kadons Bechle Sichbi was a korban Akedis. Yitzchak, it's a korban to fire to Hashem. So Avram is Mayim, love Mayim, water, and Yitzchak is fire, right? And then Yaakov is Ruach. The Ruach, you blow in freshness, newness, warmth, caring, and so on. And you take a little of the love, a little of the water and Aish, and the Ruach. Together you make something beautiful. Sometimes you blow to this side, sometimes to that side. You improvise and you adapt and you try to make it work. So you have Mayim, you have Aish, you have Ruach, and then you have Offer. Offer is like Malchus. It's the Offer is the clay kibble that the Aish and the Ruach, the Mayim, take the chomer, the matter, and make things out of it. So there's no fourth one, there's three. So let's take the three major colors. The three major colors is blue and red and yellow. Yellow is like it's friendly, but it's not passionate, overly loved. And I'm not jumping all over you. No. I'm giving you your space. I'm giving you the understanding, the caring, the warmth, not overly firing over. If you love too much, then you suffocate the person. If you passionate and you don't have a gvul, you don't have it's the fire is not inside within the gvura, holding back, but keeping the fire inside, but you're doing it outward, and so you burn the place down. Mayim is more of reaches everywhere. It doesn't leave any place. If there's a place where it can go, it's going to go. So Mayim is sometimes too much. Yes, it's too much love, too much this. You can go astray. Fire, too much fire is also you can go astray. The fairness it keeps it proportionate, but it keeps it easy going. Avram Avinu is the color blue. Blue is loyalty, it's steadiness, it's something you can, as a philosopher, it's dedicated totally 100%. It's deep, but it's steady. It's not fiery, jumping up all the, you don't, I'm not worried every second. What's his mood going to be? He might lash out. He might turn that fiery passion into anger. So fire that's not contained can turn into passionate anger and achum burn the world down. So you have blue, the color of very, very, it's not when you have the waves of of storm. It's the calm waters. That's blue. And then you have the eighth, the red color. The red is passion, zest and fire and vigor. And that's then you have the color yellow, which is sort of in between. Yellow it's passionate, it's loyal, it's warm, but it's not hot, hot, hot. It's not a heiße cup of hot heads. It's so Yaakov Avinu is the Bechir Shabbos. He gets that defense. It's the chesed, the physical, the good deeds and the warm and kind, but then you have the avoida. Mutsosas Lavovi Nemel, he's the loyal one. He's the one that's always going to be there. Yeah, you can count on it. He's the one that's going to be a fire, put in the fire into the relationship. And Yaakov is going to take the chesed, the blue color, and the red color, and the yellow color together makes a beautiful fire, which is color yellow, red, and blue together, which is he took all the Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov within Yaakov. What's Esav? Esav is Osui. He's done already. There's nothing he has to do. He's perfect. He's done. He doesn't want to grow. Doesn't want to learn. Don't tell me. Don't. He knows everything. He's all. And people are hurting him. He's not hurting anybody. And he's mamish per. Esav is Admoini. Tzipshal Admoini. He's red. Not so much gingy part of it. The skin is red. I don't know the physiognomic part of it. Blood is probably something wrong with the system that the blood is just pumping out into the skin. You see it like it's not sitting there calm and found this place with something is not completely developed over there. But Esav is this overly passionate creature that wants to grab and conquer everything, what's allowed, what's not allowed. No, so you have the Admoini, and he's fully done, and he has these two elements, but he's like bursting out, and wildly so, and with a lot of hezek to others. He's ruining it for everybody. But absolutely, you can't tell him. There's no room for growth over there. So we said many times, Edom is also Edom. He keeps quiet when he's supposed to speak up. And so he doesn't care. What does he care about Edom? And also to give compliments. He's not about giving compliments. He only gives compliments when he needs something. And he figures he'll talk his way through and he'll get it whatever he wants. So that's so you have then you have Yaakov. Who's Yaakov? Yaakov holds the Akev. Now, what does that mean? That means Yaakov is named because he holds people back, because he's jealous. He doesn't want Esav to go first, because he's holding somebody back from growing or gaining something or becoming something or achieving something. That's what you call Vayikra Shema. Hashem calls Yaakov. A beautiful name. What's the meaning of your name, Yaakov? Well, it means I hold everybody back. I mean, I can't take. I'm jealous. It doesn't make sense. Where's the justification for that? So here's a deeper meaning of Yaakov that I like a lot more. You know why Yaakov held on to Esav? Because he wanted to avoid extra pain. 2 babies, that's twice the pain of having a baby. What excruciating pain. And when Yaakov is holding back his foot, he says, let's get like one birth. And if it's one birth, he'll avoid extra pain for his mother. That's why Yaakov is called Yaakov. And I believe, Libi Oimeli, that's why even Vayikra Shmoi Avraham, and you can never call him again Avram. It's Avraham, unless you're learning the parasha, learning history. But you can't call Avraham without the hay. By Yaakov, although he gets Yaakov, although he gets he gets the name Yisrael, he's still called Yaakov. Why is that? What's Yaakov? Yaakov is the yellow color of Yogel Yaakov Yismach Yisrael. Yogel Yaakov is rejoicing, but Yogel B'Shuasecha, it's an inner rejoice. You still didn't get Yeshua, but you have bitachon, you have emunah bitachon. So Yaakov Avinu has the inner. Yaakov is happiness, but it's not a full happiness. It's Yismach. It's more of a physical simcha. Yisrael when you get to Yisrael, but Yaakov itself is also simcha. It's the blend of the dedication, the devotion, the loyalty of Avraham Avinu, the fire, the enthusiasm of Yitzchak, the passion of Yitzchak, and then together with that, the Yaakov, the element of yellow, is the happiness when you bring it all together, and you see the Seder Dvarim, and you see the balance, the Seder of the balance, and that brings happiness to a person. And Yaakov is the happy one, and he's mitosa shleim. So Esav is the red, and Yaakov is a mixture, the balance of blue, red, and yellow together. So that's why Hashem calls Yaakov. Yaakov is the yellow. He's avoiding pain for his mother, extra pain for his mother. So that's why his name is Yaakov. Even after he gets the name Yisrael, the name Yaakov, he never loses that. Even though you call it Shimchad Yaakov, you yourself advanced to the level, you upgraded to the level of Yisrael. You struggled with Hashem and you came through because of your job. Let's go a little weiter. With the same thing. Vayigdol anorim, vayesev ish yedei tzayid. He know how to do tzayid. V'Yaakov ish tam yoshev halam. What's Yaakov? Say Talmud Chochem Tzaddik, Rashke Bahag. What is ish tam yoshev kvetch bank? What are you saying about Yaakov? That he's sitting the yoshev halam? That's all. Yes, you say ish yedei tzayid. He knows. And Yaakov is what? Yoshev halam? What kind of title is that? He sat in yeshiva for many years. And what did he do there? But he sat in yeshiva. The point over here is by Yaakov ish tom. If it says a tom like the Arba Bonu from the Agoda, Tom is fatam. He's naive. He doesn't have what's going on. He doesn't get it. But then ish tom, if you add on the word ish tom, that creates a tomim. That means there's no ain't pevili shovin. There is pevili by shovin. What he thinks is what he says, and that's what he does. It's not a three different, contradictory person. He thinks one thing, he says a different, and he does a third altogether. The each tomim tiem Hashem lekechet. That's a wholesomeness of Yaakov, and also tomim is also self-sufficient. He doesn't need all the worldly distractions. He can be content and contained in this Yoshev Halim and this oil of Hashem, oil of Torah, and the tent of Hashem. What's Yaakov doing? Esav only gets paid if he's Yedei Tzayid, if he knows, he produces and he brings results. He'll have what he Yaakov Ishtom just by trying, just by you call yourself, I belong to this Jewish nation. I belong to the Dvar Hashem, the Mevaksha Hashem. I belong to the Vidorish Hashem. I belong to the seekers of Hashem, to the yearners of Hashem. That alone gets you to the Tomim, to the top level of wholesomeness. In the Yid, Onu Amelum V'Heim Amelum. We toil and they toil. Onu Amelum V'Kabim Schar. We get schar for the toiling, for trying, for the Ravanya, for the exerting yourself, for being dedicated and devoted and yearning. The Rotzen, you get schar for that. They get only schar. Why? What's the difference? Well, the differentiate is very simple. They would never pay you. They would never pay you if you don't produce. And a Jew would pay you. And where do you see that? You have somebody says, the Gemara says, somebody gets tzedakah al minas b'ni. I'm giving tzedakah, on condition that his son should stay alive. He's a perfect tzaddik. Now, why is he a perfect tzaddik? He's a perfect tzaddik because if somebody gives tzedakah, a yid, Avnei Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, the DNA of Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, the genes of Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov, is that if you give tzedakah, and it didn't work, sort of, and it didn't work, so you say to yourself, I conditioned it, I stipulated, and I'll give only if, and it didn't happen. So what does a yid do? A yid says, well, it's tzedakah. Let it be. I would never give this money. They came to me for a raffle. I would never give it if the raffle is a tzedakah and I bought into this cause. I'll give it because if even if I don't win, it's tzedakah for this cause. I would anyway want to give to this cause. A yid, even after he doesn't get his way, he doesn't have charati. He doesn't regret the fact that he gave tzedakah. He doesn't regret the mitzvah that he did. He doesn't turn back and say, "Oh, I saw. Look what I lost." That's all the difference. It's so late. I didn't even start and already. So again, so let's reiterate. A person gets schar even for Yoshev Holim. Come to shul, try, exert yourself. You fall asleep, Mela. Try, give it a shot. For that alone is already your Yaakov Avinu. You're ish tom. You're a wholesome person. Now let's go to the next pasuk. Vayev Yitzchak esetzik yitzayid b'fiv Rivka eves Yaakov. Yitzchak loved past tense. Rivka oy still loves. Why? It's double. It's shein itzlui b'dover. Is loy bot lahava, like the Mishnah says in Pirkavos. Yitzchak loved him kitzayid b'fiv. He hunts with his mouth. So the the pshat is that later, the Gemara says when Hashem says "B'necha chatu," your children did Avedis, Yemocha Kedusha Hashem, Avram, and it goes to Yaakov and everybody else. But Yitzchak says, "What do you mean Palgalai? Palgalai?" Hashem, Yitzchak says, "What? It's my children. It's not yours. Half of me and half of you." What's the word? What's the word? We quoted this Gemara a few times, but the point over here is Yitzchak says, "I kept Esav at home. Yitzayid b'fiv." Let me explain this. What's Avram Avinu's Nisayan? Avram Avinu's Nisayan is he's chesed. He is such a he's such a kind-hearted person. He's such a good guy from a heart. And therefore, when Avram Avinu is so good, he can't throw the kids. What does Hashem tell him? Throw out Yishmael. And he can't shaft the kid. Say, what? Killing somebody? I can't. Blood? Hashem says, "Shaft your kid, Yitzchak." And he has to go against his nature for Hashem. That's dedication. That's loyalty. That's devotion. What's Yitzchak's Nisoyin? Yitzchak's Nisoyin is just the opposite. Yitzchak can check himself. He goes on to the Kedis Yitzchak. He's Gvura. He's strong. He has no issue. That's not a sign from it's a sign for everybody to get killed, but it totally doesn't go against his nature. Yitzchak puts a lot of Gvura, a lot of framework around him, a lot of Gedorim and gates around him. He's machman himself like crazy. Yitzchak is totally verfrummt. It's but in the sense that he totally doesn't give himself any leeway. No tolerance, no compromising to the full letter of the rule. Mamish ad mesiris nefesh mamish for every small thing. So Yitzchak even tell him that if somebody's avoid the zora and he marries not the right people and they bring a zora into the house and you're not going to throw him out, of course Yitzchak will throw him out. He's eight tometuk, he's a file, throw him out. And that's his nisoyin, and he didn't throw him out. So now, Kitzayid b'fiv, you can tell Rabbeinu Shalom, I had much worse than all your kinderlach. I had Esav, the evil itself, in my house with his evil eyes, and I didn't throw him out. So come on, Hashem, if I can do it, I get it on. If I have it in me, you for sure have it in you to forgive the Yidden, and Hashem forgives because of Yitzchak. V'rivka, oy heves is Yaakov. So if it's tluya b'dov, if it's stipulated in the fact that he needed this taina, so he kept him in the house. Now he can let him go. But Rivka, oy heves is Yaakov. She loved him always, and she still loves Yaakov. So now we're going to I'm going to come back to the Bechira, selling the Bechira a little later. Now we're coming to what's Yitzchak thinking? He doesn't chap what everybody chaps. That Esau is no big tzaddik. He became blind because of Esau, according to one of the Shitas. Because his wife, the smoke of Avodah Zarah, what he doesn't chap. First of all, Rivka was brought up with Sajdeyo. Very suspicious. Because you come from a Ghana family, everybody's a Ghana. You have to be suspicious. You have to watch your back every second. Yitzchak comes from such a kind, and peaceful home. So Yitzchak is totally kabdeyu and Rivka is totally chashdeyu. So Yitzchak was a little naive in the sense that you see through your own prism and through Yitzchak's prism, everybody's a tzaddik because he's a tzaddik. And Rivka grew up and she knows better. So Yitzchak could you can say that he loves your son and so on. But you have the Pashup shot. First of all, Yitzchak might not get it because he sees everybody in a beautiful light and Mamish Gavaldik. And Rivka comes from Sajdei and she stops small what's going on. She knows I this result right now you don't see it. I'm telling you, if he walks in like that, then I'm telling you that he's done a lot of trouble. I know the physique, I know the body language. This spells a lot of trouble. Her family is a bunch of foolers. They fooled everybody, and he knows how Esav picked it up. She knows the genes. So I'm skipping the Bechorah, and I'm skipping the with Avimelech and all that stuff, and we're going to jump to Vayiki Zokin Yitzchak Vatichena Einov Merois. He stopped seeing. Now he's afraid. It came the years within 5 years of his mother, and you're talking about what is it? So 63 and 60. He was 60 and now 60. 123 years. It's within 5 years of 127. So you have to start worrying. If somebody comes within 5 years of when his parents died, so he you have to start worrying. So he says he doesn't know how long he has. He wants to give over the mantle. He wants to give over the brachas to his children. Okay. So he tells Esav, I don't know, he doesn't know when he's going to die. Now take your instruments and go hunt me Tzayid. What did he hunt him? So what hunting? A deer. Now why otherwise you don't have to hunt goats, right? They have in the yard. They don't have to hunt. So go hunt me a deer. Okay, he wanted a tzvi. Baseli matamen, prepare for me tasty food. Kasher hafti like I love. What do you mean like I love? What's the specific thing? So we'll see a little later. Bring it to me and I'll eat it. Babu tevarecha nashi v'terem omus. What's the shadow over here? Yitzchak can't give a bracha only if he brings him food. I said this a few times. I want to repeat it because maybe somebody didn't hear it. If you don't invest in a bracha, the bracha. Now, if you want a bracha to work, how does it work? A bracha. A bracha is when a person wishes you with the whole heart. So let's take a situation. Somebody wants to have a kid. Somebody wants a shidduch. Somebody wants parnasa. Somebody wants naknas. Whatever somebody wants. And you find a situation where there's a tzaddik or tzaddikis, yosem yisoima, almana, a divorcee, anybody fatzoritz, anybody that doesn't have a ger, a geyeris, they don't have people. And you come in that moment and save the day. They need money for a wedding. They need money to live. They need money for tuition, whatever it is. And they're going to be thrown out of their apartment. They're going to be thrown out of the school yeshiva. They won't be able to make the sasana, bushas and sarpis. And people are crying and crying to Hashem. And you come in, you say, "What are you crying? What are you crying? What happened? Can I help?" And the guy says, I have to make that. And you don't have the money to make that. You're not a rich guy. I'll go knocking on doors. I don't know. But you say, calm down. I'll try to help. I'll try to take this burden off you. And you go over and you exert yourself and you help out Yenim, the person becomes so emotionally overwhelmed. And at that moment, they wish you, they bench you, they bless you with the whole heart. It works. How can it not work? How can it not work? So if you go to a tzaddik can add on schus obis, not only his yichus, but if you go to a tzaddik and you know he needs money for his moisit or his shul, whatever it is, he's stuck somewhere. He traveled, this broke down, he came late to play, there's no way. And you go and arrange whatever it is, the weekend, the trip, you arrange something when he's stuck, he's stranded. He'll become so emotional after that. And he'll say, what can I bench you with? And you tell the tzaddik, how many stories, thousands of stories of Rebbes and tzaddikim or yeshivas got stuck somewhere in our history. And they said after Shabbos or after whatever it was, how can I help you? And they said, I need this and that. And they gave you a brach and it worked. How can it not work? So when you come to such a moment, if it doesn't happen, make it happen. Look, look around, see who's suffering, jump and grab this opportunity, this ace rotz, this opportune time. When you find the auspicious moment and you take advantage, you bank in like never before. You become gvir adi, you become tzaddik, God, and whatever you want, Rashi, whatever you want, you get. Whatever's the wishes of your life. Okay, I have to give a little story. It's so late. I don't know. You remember the story with this lady that she came to Tzaddik and she found there by in the waiting room another lady also they from the same town. They know each other well. And she came. She said, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Okay. She found out lately somebody came to her town and said that this Hasidic Rebbe can give his brachas work, and she doesn't have kids for many years. So she says, "Oh, from that guy, I heard him also. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I came." So both of them came. Now, so the first one goes in, gets a bracha. The second one goes in, gets a bracha. They come out. They almost a year later, they end up bumping it again in the waiting room of that tzaddik in that town nearby. And she sees that she has a carriage with a baby in it. How you talking? So she comes in to thank the Rebbe and she leaves. And then the second lady says, Rebbe, how could it be you gave her a bracha? Don't tell me Amuna B'tachin. I had all the Amuna B'tachin. Just don't tell me Amuna B'tachin. I want very specific. What is it in this lady that your bracha worked by her and by her didn't work? And the Rebbe said, very simple. See, you didn't see what she did before she came in. She gave the gaba when before you walked in, she came with a whole wagon. And it turns out she did her homework. She found out what size am I. She bought me a new hat and a new strimel, new glasses, and with my prescriptions. She did extensive homework. And she bought me, you know, shirts and underwear, and she bought me, she tailored me a new suit. She paid for it, of course. A new suit, like a bekisher for the weekday and a bekisher for Shabbos, a shvulka coat and a pelts when it gets really cold. New shoes, new boots, whole wardrobe, which is expensive. And she's not, poor, but she paid tablet to kill it. She sent it in with the gap. When I saw that, for years and years since his chasana, was it? Many, probably 20 years before, nobody gave him clothing. He never had his rags and ripped and a poor rabbi, financially poor. And here she comes and she lights up the day. He was before marrying off a kid. He didn't know how's he gonna, where's he gonna get money to, and he wouldn't schnorr. He was too bashful. And here she goes and his heart opened up. He was overwhelmed. And when she came in, the Gabba said, "This is the lady they gave to you." Of course, he with the ganze hearts, I benched her. So this lady says, "What? What is a what is it? $1,000, whatever. Let's say in today's day, I'll give you $100,000. Actually, she happens to be rich. What do you want? A new house? I give you anything you want." He said, "It's too late. You're trying to do business to buy you off." She did it even if it wouldn't work. She gave him with the ganze hearts. Vaseli matamim. Yeah, Yitzchak says the first thing, Vaseli matamim. I want you to be involved. I want to get you involved to the Pesach Seder. It was Pesach Seder. So I can, if you make the food and you prepare the food and you toiled on that food, so for that food, and you come in, you're not going to run away. I'll have you by the Seder because it's your food. You want to see how I taste it and how I enjoy it. But a lot more than that. If you put in effort, then I give you with the brachas of the Bechorah, what the Bechor gets. There's a certain love, a special love that a father has to the first, the Bechor, and a father has to the first Aidim. Unless they have two alpha males, they don't get along, whatever. But in general, there's a first daughter, first son. There's a special Hava. And Yitzchak has that Hava and he wants to, pass it over. So what's Pshat? Esav is a Russia, but his cheshbon was that there's Yishmael and Esav. Let's take the bigger picture. Yishmael and Esav, that's what's Yishmael? It's Shomakel. What's Esav? Hosui. So you take the Nasa, Esav is Nasa, Yishmael is Nishma, Yishma, and together, and they'll support the Yitzchak and they'll support Yaakov and so on. Together, this two great nations will support. So Yitzchak wanted to do Yisachar Zvulun. Comes and Rivka says, Rivka, no, Rivka shoymaz b'daber Yitzchak el Esav b'noi. What does she hear? She hears what's going on. And she says, "No, I can't let that happen because Yitzchak is a little naive. He's such a tzaddik, he doesn't see anything bad. I know where Asa comes from. I know the genes. Asa will never give Yaakov a penny. He won't protect him. He'll use him out. It's terrible. I can't let that happen." So therefore, she has to change. So what does she do? She takes Yaakov and Yaakov doesn't want, and he's totally, he's afraid. Ulai Musheni Ovi. Ulai is like the Vilna Gaon says. Ulai means I wish that happens and they catch me, so I don't have to lie and go through the whole thievery and the whole swindle and then. And she takes the clothing of Esav, which is from Nimrod, which is the Kosnos or Hashem gave to Adam Rishon, and she puts it on him. He's 63 years old, and he has to put him on clothing. His old mother. The word is he can't even get himself to take somebody else's jacket. So what was the rationale? It's Geneva. What are you stealing somebody's jacket? You ask permission to use it. So there's a halachic discourse on that, which they find leeways. But push it the way I want to say what the Medrash says, and I think that's the reason. How does Esav? He comes haliteni nomen odim azek. This is many years before. He was 15 years old. So and he comes if he doesn't have koyach because he just went through a war. What happened? He took away the kosmos or the special jacket from Nimrod. How did he do? What happened? What happened was he's a hunter, so he goes out to hunt. And what happens is when he goes out to hunt, Nimrod confronts him. Hey, I'm the father of the mafia. Who gave you permission? You have to go through me. I'm not paying you a penny. What do you mean I'm paying you a penny? I'm not. So they went out. They got at it. So they said, and Nimrod said, no, you're young. I'm older. Tomorrow we'll come with Machen de Zach. We'll prepare it. So Esav comes home to Yaakov, to his younger brother, which is Ishtam Yoshev Holim, and he's connected, and he might not be such street smart. He's book smart, but he felt he needs spiritual koiches of it because Nimrod has no issue hunting. All the animals just like melt down, and he beats everybody with fighting, and he says there's got to be something spiritual there. So he goes to spiritual brother Yaakov. He says, "What's the matter over here? How come nobody can beat him?" And I have a scheduled match tomorrow with Nimrod. Yaakov says, "Because of the jacket. What jacket?" Yaakov tells him it's custom. So it's from Adam Rishon. Hashem gave it to him. All the highest feared that jacket. Had all different animals engraved in it, and it's like a spiritual mantle. So tell him to take off the mantle. Take off the mantle, then we'll have a match. So Yosef comes, like Yaakov, advised him, and he says word for word, "Hey, you wimp, you want to fight me because I take off that jacket, take your badge, take off the gun, take off your uniform, and then we'll have it out." And we did. He won over Nimrod and took the jacket, killed Nimrod and took the jacket. He brought it home. So the only way he got this jacket, and then he went hunting with this jacket. But then he became a professional. He didn't need the jacket. He used the jacket to go into Yitzchak. So Yitzchak shouldn't feel, he should feel something spiritual there because Esau himself had nothing going on for him. So Yaakov takes the jacket because Esau would never get the jacket without Yaakov. So she felt that he can use it. He only got it in Yoschus. How could he tell you no? If you would ask him, he'd probably say yes, because in Yoschus he won and he got the jacket. So Yaakov goes in and he brings the food and everything else and the wine, and he gave him to drink the dalit koises, the whole seder, and he gives him afikoimen. And the remez is boch. Mirma is the gematria afikoimen, and he gives him afikoimen. Then we get back. Aseli matamim. If you don't invest, you got nothing going for you. You get a bracha, but you want a guarantee. Aseli matamim, invest in it. So Asa says, give me one bracha. And Yitzchak says, I'm sorry, I ate afikoimen. I can give you a bracha. It's not going to work if you didn't invest. Now, if you give me the matamim, then, but I can't eat. I'm after nachavikoim. You can't eat after them. That's the bemirma part. So it says here, he smelled the smell of Gan Eden. He knew what Gan Eden. He was geschachten by the Akedah, or he died, whatever it was, and he went with Shemaim. He knows either for a moment or a year or two or three. He knows what it means. He knows what it means, Gan Eden. He's very aware, and he sees that. Oh, that smell. It reminds him when he was in Gan Eden. So his heart becomes expansive, and he starts shooting the brachas one after another. The thing. Now, Rivka plans to walk into to Yitzchak and tell him that, look, it was Yaakov that really got the thing. What do you mean? Hakol Kol Yaakov Daim Esav, the famous word. That what did Rivka hear? Rivka hear that the Asa says, "I don't trust my brother Yaakov because the Ganav thinks everybody's a Ganav." So he made it the Yaakov's going to try to his rough and aggressive demeanor. He said Yaakov's going to try to mimic me, to imitate me. So let's make a deal. I'm going to come in and imitate Yaakov's voice. So if it's a kol Yaakov, I diamond Esav, the hands will feel like Esav because they put Gedolia Izim, right? The skin of a goat skin all over. So you'll feel me, then you'll know it's me. But I'm gonna mimic I'm gonna imitate his voice. Okay. So now when you have that Yitzchak thinks, oh, kol Yasdes is stimmt. Okay, now that's perfect, right? That was the parole, the code that made up between each other. That's what we're gonna know. It's Esav. It's not. And it's nobody else taking the brachas. Now, but Rivka was going to come and spill the beans, but Hashem didn't want it. It says, he finished blessing Yaakov. He the second he turned, he didn't even leave yet. He was like behind the door, sort of, right? And Esau's brother came right away, and she missed the opportunity. Why did Hashem do that? Because I'll say, because there should be a sinner between Yaakov and Esav. Otherwise, she would have told Yitzchak, spilled the beans. She would tell Yitzchak, muster up enough courage to tell Yitzchak once and for all, by the way, I did it. Don't curse out Yaakov. I did it. And I did it because you don't know. I know where Esav comes from. He fooled you all the time. And Bazoi, Esav comes in, he gives him a bracha, no big deal. And then without the motion, it's not going to work. He'll give him a bracha, wish him well. Asa wouldn't know anything. Yaakov got the brachas. Asa wouldn't know. And then Shalom al Yisrael. No, Hashem wanted that the whole lifetime. That if a person forgets his mission, the anti-Semites come and remind us. If the Jews in Berlin, in Germany, wanted to marry out, and intermarry in other nations, the first law they made that you can't marry the Germans. In other words, it's Zocher, and if not, is Leutishka. I'm telling you, Leutishka. So he also brought matamim. Please get up and eat because so you should bless me. Who are you? I'm your firstborn Esav. Who is the guy that brought me the whole meal before? Before you came. And I actually blessed him. What happened over here? Now, Esav's screamed, and therefore we had all the tzores because of his crying. And we asked a few times the kasha, I think it was Tisha B'Av, we asked the kasha at Esav, what do you mean? What do you mean? He cried 3 tears. The Yidden cried oceans of tears. And we're still suffering. And the teretz is, min b'mino is not bottle, halachic. If a Yid shreit, shame. Okay, I'm going to give this word and I'll get back. I should wait till then, but I'm afraid I'm going to forget. The Ponovizhirov, the Satmarov Zatzal, Rabbi Yoglish Zatzal, he said, what are they spending so much money to know if there's life on Mars? I'm telling you right now, there's no life on Mars. And how do I know? He says, because if there be life on Mars, the Ponovizhirov will be the collecting money for his maisid, for all his yeshivas and basis soimim and yisoimis and all the living projects, for people who don't have the finance, the means to pay for living quarters and so on. So the Ponovizhirov built like a small city. And he would be collecting. If he wasn't there, that means there's no life. I guarantee you, Ksatmarov says. Now, the Ponev Zherov once came to a Gracie, I forgot, South America, South Africa, I don't know where it was. But he came to there and he comes in and the guy says, come in, be my guest. And he says, I don't have time. Tea. He said, no, I need $100,000. Let's say, I'm thinking astronomical amount of money. And the guy was total shock. I mean, he was so taken aback. He was so insulted. He says, what do you mean? The greatest of the great, the greatest Gedoyle Oilam from yesteryear came to my house. How they never mentioned money. They sat and spoke to me, and I enjoyed their company and presence for 2-3 days at least, if not for a week. And then after a few days, speaking about Kim Yahadis, to grow the Jewish nation, to sustain the Jewish nation, and the importance of it. And when they left, I gave him $100, him $500, 1,000. The biggest amount I gave 2,000. Once I gave 5,000. You want $100,000 without speaking for a moment, right away, before tea, before sitting down. And what kind of rabbi is that? Who talks about money? So the Kohen said, I don't know who they are. They might be talking about Kiyam Yahadis, but the mine and Geld, they mean the money. I'm talking about money, but I mean Kiyam Yahadis. I have to save the nation after the Holocaust. And the guy was so, he was convinced. He was totally convinced. And he pulled out a check and wrote him up the whole thing. It's so much, it's not a gesagt. What do you mean? What do you mean? You can say anything, but if you don't mean it, it's so. Esav, he shreit chayv'kaim for money. He really meant it. So he had a lot of money in his life. When when a Yid tries Kimi Hadis, but mein Geld, it's Achem Beis, so it's Ace of Tefillah, and Ace of daven that much better than we can. But if we would daven to Hashem for your sake, Lenoichach, Ishtay, Lenoichach, because the Shechina is with her. I see the Shechina with her pain, so I'm davening it for your pain. So that'll be total different results. Okay, but let's get back over here. Yitzchak says, who's the one that did it? What happened over here? What happened is Esav comes in, and Esav fooled his father. All the years, Esav knew if he brings in Tzayid, he brings in what he hunted, his father wouldn't touch it because Kasha Hafti, by Tzaddik Hafti is it kosher? How many stories Hasidic Rebbe's walked into the table and the food came and they, no, I'm not eating it. And they found out later there was shilas of the kashrus. It just smelled awful. Hafti by tzaddik means it's kosher and there's not stolen money. It's not counterfeit. It's pure. It's honest. It's with peace and not machloikas and everything else. So Esav comes in and Vayitzchak Vayechrad Yitzchak Charod G'doy Ad Moed Oy veiz me. Is it possible that my whole lifetime I ate tarfus because every time Esav brought it to me, he figured out the whole thing of it. What did he figure out? It turns out he found out right there and then. He says, this food, what you bring me? It turns out Esau went to Yaakov to shechted. He knew if he'll shechted, Yitzchak won't touch it. It would be awful. It would smell, the odor would be horrible, like the horrible odor. Now he came looking for Yaakov, and Yaakov was busy getting the brachas. So he shechted himself, prepared himself. And he didn't have Yaakov in his side to shecht it, so it wasn't Tam Gan Eden. It was Tam Gehenim. It smelled the aroma of Gehenim. The stench, not the aroma, the stench of Gehenim. And he trembled. He said, Rebbeinu Shloim, all the years you fed me, you mean to say, no, he said, no. I went to Yaakov, he found out. What else did he find out? He says, Alo Yatzaltli, you don't have a bracha for me? Oh, no, before that. Vayoyim achi kol shmo Yaakov. Vayakveni ze pamayim. He held me back twice. As b'charosi lokach, he took my b'choyru v'nata lokach b'rosi. Now he took my bracha. What's this twice? What did Yitzchak find out that he didn't stop before? There was a shakla v'tari between Yaakov and Esav. Yaakov says to Esav, how could you do what you're doing? You're supposed to be the b'chor. You're supposed to be the kohen. He just went and killed. He killed people. A kohen that kills can't serve. A kohen that kills can't have the food of kohuna. So who's going to be kohen? So he says, he doesn't care about kohen. You go take kohen. What does he care? It says, Vayiz Esav Zabchoira. What's Pshat Vayiv Esav Zabchoira? How do you know he made fun of it? Well, let's see in a second. It says, Vayokam Vayelach. Who goes out of the deal? Somebody that thinks that I swindle him out, let me get out before he changes his mind. Yaakov, the Mensch says that Esav went and called his friends and he laughed at Yaakov. Look at that idiot, Chas v'sholem. He went for a beautiful portion of the red lentils. He went and he bought from my Bechorim. It's so late. Let me say a little story. You remember, as a Chassid Shemaisa, somebody went to Rebbe, he wanted Panossi, and Panossi suffered Kitza. It was really on the brink of total collapse. So the Rebbe felt him, the Rebbe gave him a few coins there. I don't know, not a lot of money, but a little bit. And he said, go, take a little money for your way and for eating on the way and whatever. And then most of it, here's a little money, but this bulk of it, I gave you, go invest it in the first thing. Whatever is, let's say $100, and he said, invest it. Whatever the first thing you find, anybody offers you, just grab it and don't sell yourself short. If they want to buy it afterwards, don't sell it only for the biggest amount. How much? He said, for $1 million or something. Okay. This chassid takes this gold coin or whatever, silver coin, let's say worth $100. He comes into the inn he doesn't have money for this. He'll buy a little bread and soup and whatever, then he'll sit down, warm himself up, and drop to go on. And he goes and he sits down, and then the next table is these chevra, the bums, these lowlifes, these youngsters, and they see this Tomim, very honest, and they took advantage. So they were drinking a little bit, and they why don't you buy yourself chicken or whatever meat and or fish? And Rabbi said, look, I don't have money for that. Why not? It's he's coming from the Rebbe. The Rebbe told him to invest the first money in the first investment. And he's sitting with his friends and he wants to impress him how smart he is. So he wants to laugh at this chassid. So he tells him, yeah, I'm your first investment. Invest in me. So what's the investment? I'll sell you my oil haba. So that's okay. The Rebbe said the first thing. It sounds outrageous. Who wants to sell the oil haba? But apparently, whatever. So so he said, but the Rebbe said I should get a contract. So contract. He took out a paper, wrote out, "Hey, oilam above for you." He signed and gave it to him, and he took his money, laughing like all the way to the bank. It's him. This he ate up his bread and soup. He benched. He walked out. These guys sat for another hour or two, and they so laughing. They took another cup of nugget. He walks home like drunk. His wife, he was a nobody, but he was a nice guy, nice, good-looking guy, and he knew how to play the game right. He had a good physical, he was a smart head. So he amounted to nothing, but his wife was the daughter of the Groise Gvir, the powerful person, the Groise Puditz type of thing. He grew, but that. So he walks home so drunk, and she says, "Ooh, stench, what's going on here?" He threw up or something, kid said, and he said, he's a little shaker. So what happened? He was with friends there in the inn, and they were traveling. So what happened? He sold his oil ball. You see this idiot? He bought my oil ball, the last dollar that he had. And, she says, "What? You sold the oil ball? We're going tomorrow to the Bezdin. Tomorrow morning, we're going to the Bezdin. I'll get divorce." He says, "Why? I love you." She says, "I don't want to live with somebody who doesn't have oil ball. You crazy or something? I thought you're smart. It turns out you're dumber than everybody." That's a whole mistake. The kid said he understood what happened. He fell on his feet. He begged that. The kid said, so she says, "Well, I'll give you one more chance, but you got to go find the guy." He comes to the inn. He said the guy give a name, but somebody said, "Yeah, he came from the nearby town." He ran to the town. He found the shul, the Rebbe, and he goes to the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, "I'm sorry, it's too late." What did he? I'm sorry. No, no, no. He went and he found out the guy, and he comes, and then he traveled to the nearby town, village, and he went to the guy, and he told the guy that, please give me back the Olam Haba. He says, "No, my Rebbe said I shouldn't." So he went with the guy to the Rebbe, sort of taking the business, and he comes to the Rebbe and says, "He's taka shouldn't. Don't sell it to him less than $1 million. Let's say in today's day." So he said, "What do you mean?" I was just a joke. He says, "I don't know jokes. He has a star, doesn't he?" The kid, he told him, uh, um, if you don't give him $1 million, he's not giving you back the star, and it's end with that. Well, Yishver, well, go home, tell your wife, let him give. Yishver never gets the duck anyway. He's a stingy guy. So let your wife. He would. And so his own daughter, she's the Yerush, and Yereshus, and she can get any money out of him. You give him the money. Next time, don't play games. Don't play games. Since he went home and he told his wife. His wife said, "Okay, no problem." She goes to the husband, to her father, and she says she needs $1 million. He never asked questions. Gave him $1 million. She gave it to the husband. He brought it to the rabbi with the guy there. He gave him over the money, and it wasn't extortion. It was a real deal. At Kiyaskaf gave a hand and a star so what's the word? By Ace of Russia, by him he sold his oil boss sort of. He said for what would you charge me? $20 for this portion? For $20. So he laughed. Look, he sold me $20 for Olam which is he has no Olam anyway. Vayiva's Aces of Chayra. His that is because how do we know that? Because Vayokom Vayelach, he ran out. What does that mean? If you have a person that gypped you off. Like you go into a store and you see that the watches, and this youngster he has watches. He has no idea. He has a whole bunch of watches that he arshin. He has no. He's trying to make a few dollars. What does he need watches? His grandfather watches store, so he sells $10 just to get rid of him. $10 a piece. So $10 a fake watch. But comes a guy and found out what he's selling his grandfather's watches. There's some good watches there. So he went to the stand and he goes, he sees this watch is not $10. This watch is worth, let's say, 200. This watch is worth 300. This watch is worth $500. Like, so he says, let me take, I picked out 10 watches. Now, let's say five of them were expensive and five of them were really $10 watches. So five of them, he says, $10 each, $50. Now, if somebody would else would come that knows watches and tell the guy you're crazy, you just go, we'll call the police and say, I didn't know that, but you're gonna. So according to law, I don't know what the thing is, but if according Yashis, if you're speaking justice, then so what is he going to do? He'll run out of town. Why? Because if the guy finds out, he'll come back screaming, "Hey, you dripped me off. I didn't know this watch is so expensive. You took advantage of my not knowledge. Let's see what the judge will have to say about you." So the point is, he skips out of town. If Vayokum Vayelech, why is the Torah telling us Vayokum Vayelech? He skipped out of town before Yaakov will change his mind and say, "What do you mean?" Because he didn't believe in the Bechayra. You don't believe you don't believe, you don't get. If you don't believe in it, you don't get. So Esav didn't believe in this whole thing. So now let's track back for a second. There's a machloikus between Esav and Yaakov. What does Esav say? Yaakov says, you killed somebody. So what are you going to do with the Bechayra now? You can't kill people. Esav says, that's my life. I can't help. The Yaakov says, but somebody's got to represent God in this family between us two. She says, you can have it. Just give me the food. And then he gave him bread, so you're not hungry. He gave him bread and dips, whatever it is, but the main portion is for Bechayr. So the point here is, Esav says, Yaakov, he's going to die anyway. Why? See, here's the thing. The A kohen, he if you're there's four levels, right? There's diamond medaber. If a medaber, a person dies, he doesn't fall down to the level of a chai, of an animal. He falls worse than a diamond. He starts stenching. Rocks don't stink. He starts stinking. The rocks don't stink. If somebody is spoiled thing, it's not okay. It's a spoiled fruit. It's spoiled. This smells terrible. Now it's going to the level of no. It's worse than everything. If a kohen doesn't fulfill his mission, it's an empty spot. You're nothing. And like Rash says, he's bottle. He's ish bottle. He's nothing. So he doesn't believe in the future world, so he won't get the future world. So he says, "So what can I do with this? How can translate that into money? And I can't. And I just want money and power and this lust and everything. And that doesn't. It's tomorrow's day. I want it right here and now." So he says, "I have no use of it." So Yaakov, you take it. So Yaakov says, I'll take it. So what's the deal? So Esav comes with such a fitness. Esav says, let this world be for me, Yaakov. You don't have a gishmak in this world, and you take the world to come. In other words, here's the transaction. Here's the chalipin. Yaakov gives Esav gives his future world to Yaakov, and Yaakov gives this world to Esav. Now, oibazoi. So once they do that, that included in the Bechorah, right? So Esav comes now and he says, he took away twice. Vayakvein is the pamoin. Where's es bechorosi lokach vini ato lokach berchosi? Where's it? Yeah, right. What is he saying? You gave it to him. Vayimkas bechorosi liyakov. What are you saying? You took. You see, the word is. He says, if. What are you telling Yaakov? Yitzchak says, I'm giving you all the brachas of the world. And Asa says, what do you mean? The brachas of this world belongs to me. I made a deal with Yaakov. So on that, Yitzchak says, oh, what did I do? But then he figures out that Vayiv Esav is Abchoira. If it's Vayiv Esav is Abchoira, you don't get the Bchoira. In other words, you don't get the Kahuna, you don't get Olam Haba. If you embarrass Olam Haba and you don't believe in it, and you mock Olam Haba and you disgrace the concept of Olam Haba, so you don't ain't no Olam Haba. If it's ain't chelik loylam abo, then you have nothing to give Yaakov. There was no chalipin over there. There was no swatting. There was no transaction. If you give Yaakov oilam abo, he gives you oilam hazeh, and the brachas belong to you. But if you vayivazeh says you lost oilam abo, so you have nothing to give Yaakov to buy off the oilam hazeh. So Yaakov is right. And Yitzchak chapped oivei. I was fooled my whole lifetime. For 63 years, I was fooled. So Lamaisi gives them a bracha, the ganze Geschäft, but if the Yidden will fall down and they won't, so then you'll get brachas, but unfortunately, way too many. So he said, so Yikrivi may evil Avi Kitsa. Where's his mother? How come not? He doesn't care about the mother. There's no kibbud of. He's afraid the father will curse him. So there's also Medrash he wanted to kill both the father and because he benched him, but Yitzchak didn't know. The point is, he cared only about his father, not the mother. Okay, it's very late. It's so late. So I'm gonna have to stop. Um, just let me just let me say a little. Yitzchak Yitzchak gives a bracha and she gives a bracha. And she says, oh, she says, he tells her to go to because of a shidduch, and she tells him, right. She tells him here, he went for his mother's sake to save his life and to his father's sake for shidduch. But if you look before, she says, Ad asher toshuv chamas ochicha. Ad shuv af ochicha mimcho. What's this repetitive lashon over here? First, ad asher toshuv chamas, until his anger will fade away. Ad shuv af ochicha mimcho. What means so? So the Mepharshim say that if is if a person um, starts blessing Genem, his enemy. Now, if he's enemy of Hashem, then do away with him. But if he's just your enemy, not Hashem's enemy, and the reason is sometimes you don't have to get along, but if you daven for the person and you wish him well, and you do favors, and he feels that you're sincere, then his hatred will fall off a drop. You're not going to get him to love him or her to love you, but it does work. It does work. Many times people don't. I don't want the favors from you because then I'll owe you, and then I'll get a liking to you. So people try to avoid it at all costs. But lemaisa, it works. So if a person wants, to diminish a little hatred and a little cruelty, try to not only not confront them, don't get into their faces, sort of from the sidelines. I have a story. I can't share the story, but I did I did something good for Yenim, and all of a sudden, I found out the guy is trying to help me out from the sidelines. I found out I wouldn't even find out about it. It works. It works. Believe me, it works. If you promote and imbue love into the air for that person, you feel bad. You daven for them. Things happen. Things happen. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody that's on and everybody that will listen to it. Maybe should again. We're making simcha next week, Mitzvah Hashem, and wish everybody simcha shlema, true simcha and continuous simcha. That everybody should have all the brachas and the atzlachas and the yeshuas and more overflowing that you can share with everybody else. Thank you very much.